Thursday. Happy the day before the ice storm in Augusta. Well, I'm not going to say it's an ice storm. The day before the winter weather in Augusta. I'm back with another Here I Am video. So I was watching this podcast. I don't even know the name of the podcast, to be honest with you. Tank and Jay Valentine were a guest on it, and Spank, one of Kevin Hart's friends, is his podcast, but I can't remember the other guy that was on there. And they asked them, they have like this bucket you pick a question out of or whatever, and you have to answer the question. And the question was, if you could change any event in history and change history, what would it be? And Tank said slavery. And, you know, he was like, it just changed how it went. And so as I'm sitting there listening to him talk, I'm like, you know how crazy it is for black people, how long our struggle has been, and why it's so important for us to tap into who we're supposed to be. Like, we literally, well, I can't say we, because we're not that far removed from slavery. I believe that my great-grandmother was born, I think, in 1900. So probably my great-great-grandmother was a slave, or born into slavery, right? That's not that many generations ago. It's not. And I live in Georgia, so I'm like, my family, my grandmother, she lived in Georgia for a long time. To think that somebody was ripped away from where they belonged, or where they, you know, where they were created, where, you know, where they were supposed to be, and taken to a place where they don't know nothing, they don't know about it, they're told they don't know nothing, they're drilled. There's this identity that is not theirs, but it's drilled into their heads constantly. So how could you ever expect them to grow up to be what they're supposed to be? That was the whole purpose. That was the whole purpose. That was the whole point of that. Like, to not know how powerful you are. Is how many slaves on the plantation and how many slave masters, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure they were the slave masters were highly outnumbered. But because people couldn't tap into their power, that's interesting to me. And now we have generations later where we still have that concept of, we don't know who we are. We don't know the power that we have. Like, it's so many things. I remember watching this video a while ago, and you know how, like, we have like the black people things, right? Like when we laugh, we gotta hit each other, or we walk away, or, you know, whatever. I remember seeing this video of Taraji P. Henson, and she was talking about how, like, we walk away when we laugh because slaves weren't allowed to laugh. So they had to try to hide it so they would walk away. And I'm like, that's crazy that we have now ingrained that in culture, right? And that's like a black peopleism. And I just, you know, I'm sitting here thinking, like, that's so insane. Like, how we, generational cycles, curses, all of that are really a thing. Because while some people were forced out of their homeland and forced to be programmed to think a certain kind of way, some of us think like that just because that's how people before us thought. Not because we actually want to, or because that's something, you know, that a mindset that we have developed over time. No, that's something that's passed down. That's something that's absolutely passed down. Like, my grandfather had like a 4th grade education, and he owned a business. Well, he did not do everything in his business, which, you know, no CEO knows every single part of their business, like, for real. I don't believe that he's like is at a high level anyway. But you know, he didn't understand a lot. He built his own house. It's like he had something to prove. And so a lot of the people after me, my mom's generation, my generation, they feel like they had something to prove. And I'm like, now I'm at an age where yeah, there was a time where I felt like I had to be the overachiever. I had to have all, like, when I remember when I was graduating from high school. I remember, actually, no, I'm gonna go back to not kindergarten, elementary school. When I graduated from 5th grade, I remember crying because I was not the smartest person in the class. on paper. Now, this kid was very, very smart, so she probably is smarter than me, but I remember not having that highest average in class, and I got straight A's all year. The lowest grade I ever got was a 92, and I was livid about it because it was in science, and science is not my thing, right? I knew that back in, not kindergarten, I keep wanting to say kindergarten, but in elementary school, I knew that. And I was so upset because I wasn't getting that award. I had won the spelling bee that year. I had went on to go to the county bee and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to have all these accolades because that's where I shined. I wasn't getting a lot of attention for anything else, but when it came to academics, oh, you wasn't touching me, right? So even when I graduated from high school, I remember sweating. Uh-oh, police got somebody over here. I remember sweating in high school. I had on a strapless dress and was sweating my butt off because I had so many cords around my neck. If I have a picture, I'll put it in here somewhere. But I was like just sweating and sweating and sweating. I had like, oh, it was just everywhere, like cords everywhere. I had like 4-H cord. I had every honor society that you could be a part of. I was in it because I wanted the cord. I wanted it to be seen that I am smart. Because also, which I don't know, which I may or may not know, well, you might if you've watched a few of my videos. I went to a performing arts magnet school, and I graduated high school with a 3.7, but I was still number 40 out of 80. Right? Like, I was just average smart. But I was like, I got something to prove. So I had all these cords. I had to do that. Even when I graduated from college, same thing. I had to have all these cords. I had to flex. I had, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was so hot in Valdosta when I graduated. I had on a backless dress, and my graduation gown was stuck to my back. Like, it was that bad. And my neck was hot, and it was a mess. Like, it was a hot mess. But by the time I got to graduate school, I didn't care anymore. I was like, I'm graduating with my master's, and not everybody can say that, especially people in my family. Not everybody can say that. I know on my dad's side, I know there is my cousin Poochie, cousin Ashley, me, my sister, and my cousin Corey, and my cousin Cece. We have all graduated from college. I don't know about the rest of them, but I know so far it's only 6 of us that have graduated from college. And that's interesting to me because, we go so hard as people, we go so hard for things, and we see people trying to get to their level of success, whatever that may be. And it all looks different for everybody. So I think about this kind of stuff all the time because, and I think I said this in another video, where you come from, it doesn't determine where you're going, but it does determine what you're exposed to at what age. Like I told y'all, I went to a performing arts magnet school in Augusta, Georgia. But before that, I lived in South Augusta, where everybody was working. Everybody had to work. And it wasn't like doctors and lawyers and nurses and all. It wasn't like that. You was working in an office or working, a shift job, whatever. I don't know. But my level of exposure to things of more was not that much before I got to Davidson. Even when I got to Davidson, I still didn't know any doctors or lawyers or anything like that. I know a lot of teachers. I knew a lot of people in the military. But outside of that, no, I didn't know that many people with other careers. So then when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do as a career, it was a little difficult for me because I didn't know. I was like, I want to be a counselor. Okay, well, what kind of counselor? I don't know. But Are they even home? Y'all. I'm about to say, I know you lying. But yeah, like my exposure to certain things, it just was very, very limited. It was very limited, and I just, I'm thankful that I did get the opportunities that I did, because that could have been very different for me. But yeah, y'all. I just pulled up to my parents' house, so to get little baby. So I will talk to y'all later. Bye.